Wyrd Realities explores the paranormal, preternatural, and supernatural worlds that surround us. Here we delve into those topics that challenge us to think outside the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our Wyrd Realities.
Happy Monday, everybody. This is Hadley, and I'm here with my favorites, Morgana and Mr. Rich Restucci, and we are going to talk weird talk with Rich.
Hello.
Hi.
So, tell us all about yourself.
Me? Let's see.
Start at
Born
the
in,
beginning. It was a cold,
at
dark
the
night.
beginning? Yeah, well, they met at a party. My father was in the army. No, born and bred in Massachusetts. Grew up here, lived all over the world. That's it. That's me in a nutshell, really. I write stuff sometimes.
Okay, there's so much more to you, and I have questions. But you know me, I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah, well, I was
So-
saving the whole backstory for your question. So
Okay. All right. So I know that you've been to Russia,
yeah,
and that you actually got to go to Chernobyl.
yeah. Well, Pripyat, but yeah.
So tell us all about that.
So when I went, I don't remember the year that I went, but it was I lived in Norway in 96, 97, and when I was leaving Norway, I just hooked up with a group of people, and we went and we did a few things. And one of the things we went to was Pripyat, and Pripyat is actually the city that used to sort of all the workers from the Chernobyl power plant were there. Hi, Landa. They lived there, and they had a hospital, and they had a big park, and the place was really done over well. And when you actually get on the bus, you gotta pay this.
Hey, Alan.
Odd,
Hey, Mark.
Hi guys. You gotta pay this odd Russian man, and he puts you on this old yellow school bus, and he drives you up, and the bus is bouncing like this or it's old broken road, and you get there, and it is just deathly, absolutely quiet. There's nothing going on, no birds, no bugs, nothing. And this is before you're even into the the confines of what used to be the city. And I don't even think you can do it anymore. I think they stopped doing that because the Russian government stepped in and said, no, we don't want anybody seeing all this crap. But you can't get anywhere near the actual where the fire was. You can't get anywhere near the reactor. I mean, there's big fences and stuff, but we didn't even get near the fences. You couldn't get it because there's guards there as well. But in the city, you walk down this main drag of the city, and you're just looking left and right, and there's all these buildings that there's no glass left. All the glass is gone in the buildings, but they look almost new. There wasn't any growth like you'd think you'd see, growth on the outside of the buildings, plants and stuff, until you get inside. And when you get inside, everything's just destroyed. Like the hospital has all these beds, but it's nothing but springs. There was an old park there, and the park had a Ferris wheel, and the Ferris wheel, the bottom of it is overgrown, and it's all rust on the top and stuff like that. But other than that, like the cars and stuff, they're all shiny and new. It was weird because a lot of it looked like it had been there for 300 years, and a lot of it looked like it was built yesterday. So it was really odd. And I saw one living creature other than the group of us that while we were there, and it was like this giant rat dog thing. I don't know what it was, but it was fast, and it just ran past us, and it was, I don't know, it was a rat or something. It was like the size of a very large cat.
So mutant.
I don't think so. I think it was just a big rat, to tell you the truth. I worked in Boston for a little while, and I saw rats like they would have beat the shit out of Godzilla. So this thing was big, and I'm not going, hi, Chassis. I'm not saying it was a mutant or anything. I think it was just a rat. But that was my point. That was the only living thing that I saw. No birds, no bugs, nothing. It was really creepy, and the silence is what you actually can hear. The silence. You get in there, and you're like, this is weird. And I never went anywhere alone. They wouldn't let us go alone. We had to go to group to different places. We went in like 5 buildings. There was an old dairy, and that was actually, it wasn't old. It was a dairy that had been built in, I think, the 80s, early 80s. And we went in there, and that was pretty weird. And there's a way to go. You go in the dairy, and you can go down underneath, but it was all blocked off. It was boarded, and you couldn't go down there. So I would imagine it was a safety thing, but who knows? Creepy, weird shit. The school was probably the weirdest thing because there was still stuff on the blackboard in Russian. It was several blackboards, and it was still there, and like all the chairs were just perfect. It looked like they had gotten up from school and just never came back, and that's exactly what happened. Like I said, we were in the hospital for maybe 15 minutes. I was only there for like maybe 3 or 4 hours, but it was creepy and it was weird.
Did you have a Geiger counter the whole time?
No, there wasn't anything like that. I would imagine that. Well, I mean, I'm not dead, at least not yet. So I would imagine that all the radioactive stuff was significantly further in. And I know that they had I didn't see it, but the guy said that they had an APC, an armored personnel carrier, that was blocking the road further down. But we never got that far. He only went to a certain distance into the city, like right in the main square, and he said, "We can't go any further than this." So we went into maybe 4 or 5 buildings, the hospital, the school. The dairy was really creepy. I'm trying to think if we went in anything. I know we did. Dude, it's me. Come on. But anyway, that was Pripyat, and it was cool and creepy and weird, and I would love to do it again and see how it looks now compared to before. But I don't think you go anymore. I don't even think you can grease a palm and get in there.
We covered that a couple of months ago, and I remember doing the research, and that Ferris wheel thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
That just looks strange,
Yeah.
Because my understanding was they actually did the people actually got in and did the rides and everything after the original problem started. They still let people.
Well, the government's going to disclaim this, but someone said that, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. You guys, they started to leave, and then they said, everybody, you can come back. Everybody can come back. And then they realized that, it was bad, and people just fled, and nobody ever came back. And we weren't allowed to go in any of the houses, but I don't know that they had like houses per se, because they were big, huge apartment complexes. They were enormous. And I don't know if there were any houses, to tell you the truth, that we saw. We saw those, but we weren't allowed to go up in the apartment buildings. And I would imagine it was unsafe to do so, not for radiation, but just, the structures were falling apart.
Right.
And I really didn't want to get killed in Pripyat and get left there with 2 broken legs while they drove away. It's like, I got to stay with these guys. But it was fun. It was cool.
In a spooky, weird way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all for spooky as long as it's not ghosts. Ghosts can kiss my ass. Done with ghosts.
I was going to say that I've heard. I want to say like it was like Josh Gates maybe when Destination Truth went there, that they were seeing heat signatures of people.
No, I didn't see any of that.
Well, you didn't have your infrared. You didn't go at night.
No, that was another thing. We had to be outside the city limits before sundown. That was another.
Oh, wow.
That was a rule that was on the little brochure. So
I
don't have anymore. I wonder where that is. I don't.
So why haven't you written a story about this, or have you?
Not so much about Pripyat, but so it's been done. There's been there was a movie made. I saw the movie. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called Chernobyl. Actually, it wasn't very good. That's the one at the end where they throw her in the room with the critters.
Yeah.
Yeah, she escapes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't like it that much.
They'd walk by the water and it would ripple.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that.
It was okay. That's just. I mean, I could, I suppose, but I'm pursuing other avenues right now. I'm trying to branch out from zombies, but still stay in horror. And I've written a couple other things recently.
I was going to say, I can't think of anything more frightening than being at Chernobyl after dark. No sound, no life, no nothing.
Yeah, I can see how that would be pretty spooky. I mean, I don't know what the military does while they're there. I would imagine they all go and there's like 50 or 60 of them all hanging out, and the 50 or 60 is probably like 5 or 6, and they just jump back in the APC and they just do this all night, I don't know, it's not for me. I guess after a few nights of being there, it's no big deal like anything else. But I'm a bit of a sissy when it comes to that kind of thing, so nah, I'm not going there. Like you see all these things on Facebook. Which one would you stay in? The haunted apartment, the haunted this thing. I'm like, none of them. I'm not going there. Screw that. No.
That sounds like you have some preservation common sense to me.
Yeah.
Come on now. I was the
maybe.
one who said, yes, I would clean the cemetery at night for $80 an hour. Sure, why not?
I'd do it if there were 30 other people with me, yeah.
Yeah, it's all
alone.
about the information they're not providing you with.
That's
No,
true.
that would not be for me. What else you got?
Let's see. Well, so Norway. What? Why were you in Norway?
So I work for a company that does chemical research. And what we were doing was I went over there to set up a saponification laboratory in order to extract fish liver samples so that we could tell what kind of wastewater and oil was in it from the oil rigs that were in the North Sea. And I lived there for 18 months, maybe 18 months, a little longer than a year. I was there, and then I went and I got to play in Europe for 2 months. So I was turning 26 while I was there, so I was able to get my Interrail pass before I turned 26. And what an Interrail pass is, you can use the Interrail to get on any train in Europe except for the country you buy it in, and I think it was like $250 at the time, and that was it. No more travel. You had to pay for no travel at all unless you got on a bus, or which a lot of the buses were free anyway, or a like a high-speed bullet train. I took one of those in Germany, and I had to pay for that. But other than that, everything was free. So Norway was. I lived in a place called Trondheim, and it's on the west coast. I guess it's the only coast, really. I have a south coast, but it's west coast, and it's like mid-Norway. And we got the Gulf Stream, so it wasn't like you think Norway and you think, oh, it's freezing cold. But it was just, I live in Massachusetts, and it was kind of the same. It wasn't that much colder. But what is cool about Norway is I was there during Setting of Mai, which is the 17th of May, and the sun never really goes down. It gets like dusky, but it never. It's kind of like this room right now. It's easy to see, and we would be sitting out there and look at your watch at the bar, and it's 3 a.m. You're like, oh man, I gotta go to bed. So that was fun. It was one of the best times in my life. I made a lot of good friends while I was there, and most of it was paid for by my company. I got all the rent I could eat, all the rent for free. All of the most of the food was free, and I weaseled a little of the beer in there. And Norway has some expensive goddamn beer, let me tell you. It was ridiculous. I think at the time it was second only to Russia in cost. I don't know if it's that way now, but at the time, like I say, I think it was 96, 97. I'd have to do the math. That's a lot of math right now, so I'm not doing that.
Yeah, don't worry about the math.
Yeah, but
well, that
Norway
sounds
was
fascinating.
great.
Would you go
Yeah,
back?
It was. Oh yeah, I would live there in a second. Absolutely, it was fantastic.
Well, isn't Norway one of the countries that, like, if you're an American, you can just go live? You don't have to go through the process.
I don't know the answer to that question. I know that if you live there, if you can prove that your address is there, then you can go to school for free. You can go to college for free. And nobody pays for medical care. The state takes care of it. Well, when I say nobody pays, I mean, I was paying taxes to Norway while I lived there, and the tax rate is exorbitant. But I mean, everything's really taken care of. And I don't know the answer to your question, Hadley. I don't know if you can just go there. I know that I didn't need any type of visa when I went there. So, but I was also I was working for a company called Statoil through my company, and that at the time was the second biggest company in Norway. So I would imagine any strings that they wanted to pull, they could.
Yeah. Well, there's one country that is like Norway. I'm not sure which one it is. It's one of the I call them the Viking countries that they have like a deal with America. But it's extremely expensive to live there. But if you can afford to live there, you don't have to go through the immigration process to move.
I don't know if that's the case. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Finland, Denmark, and Sweden are the other portions of the Nordic countries. I just don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. That kind of bugs me, actually. That's something I should know.
We'll know it by tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, as soon as I'm done here, I was going to Google it right now, but I didn't want to take my eyes off the camera.
That's cool, though. I like that because
I'm jealous. I would love to
know.
do that. I would love just to go. And I've got a friend that's from Iceland, the lady from Iceland who writes the Iceland books that we talk to sometimes.
Oh.
She was telling me that if I was a student, I could go over to Iceland as a student on a student visa and live for like a year, and it would be super cheap. But to go live in Iceland as a person, it's super expensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All of those countries, you know, the Nordic countries and Iceland are very expensive to live in. Great place, though.
I was
I would
going to say,
love to-
Iceland is considered the happiest country in the world.
If it wasn't for not being able to take Boo Bradley, I would move. If I could, I would move to Iceland.
Yeah, Iceland's beautiful.
Yeah.
No trains. There's no trains on Iceland.
There's no trains. There's no unhappy people.
Yeah.
They have a smart government.
Yeah.
They don't have free-range feral animals. They might have some chickens. They got the elves. So it's just all about the cool stuff. But
Elves, yeah.
she wrote a book, and I can't think of her name. Her name's Lisa, but I think she writes under a pen name. But Lisa Norris is her name, and Lisa wrote a book about like the haunted Iceland. And she said, "Would any of your friends be interested in going on a tour where we went away from the cities and we went along the places where all the the haunted folklore stories are?" And I said, "Girl, my friends will be down with that."
Yeah, so about that, whenever there's like a big group of people that go out into like the spooky place, the big guy dies first.
No,
So
no.
yeah, doesn't matter what kind of anything anybody knows, forget it. The big guy's dead first. So I'm out.
Snow sharks.
No, sharks is different. I'll go play with sharks all day. I'm not screwing with the supernatural. Snow sharks, yes.
Rich
Deadly.
Restucci needs some sage. He needs to burn some sage in his house.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you make me like a sage coat that I can
Mhm.
just burn the whole time that I maybe.
Just
You
be
know-
smoking.
It was funny. After she asked you if anybody would be interested in that, and you said absolutely, I watched this movie about some like Odin-esque supernatural guy that was like channeling lightning and killing
Yeah, I
people.
saw that too.
I saw
What was
that.
that called?
I can't
That was
remember.
actually surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
It was, and the guy's like
Uh,
from Canada. I thought,
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. I just saw it too a few months ago.
Yeah,
I
it
rented it,
hasn't
like,
been
last
too
year.
long. But
can't remember what it was
yeah, it
called.
was crazy because I'm like, what are the odds that I'd
Goodness.
watch this just a couple of days after the invite? So
I'll
I'd
tell you.
still go though because the ghosts don't bother me.
No.
Yeah, I'm not really crazy about ghosts. Nothing else really bothers me too much. Pripyat was fun. I've been diving with sharks, but
What
I
kind of
wouldn't-
sharks did you dive with, Rich?
So we weren't supposed to be diving with sharks. Excuse me. I was on a dive on the Ningaloo Reef, not the Great Barrier Reef, in Western Australia. And I had more experience than most of the people on the boat, so I was down there. We were enjoying ourselves. We were down, I don't know, maybe 20 meters, maybe 60 feet. Lots of great reef stuff. And all of a sudden, the bell on the bottom of the boat starts going off. And there was like a little small group of tiger sharks. I don't think you call them a school because they don't really school. And they showed up, and the bell was like, get out of the water type of thing. But we were 60 feet down, so we needed to take care of ourselves first. And I was like, I really don't want to get out of the water, but that wasn't my call. So we had to go. When it was safe to come up, we went up, and we had to get out. So that was my swimming with sharks. But that was probably my best dive. And we went back the next day and did it again, and it was great.
So it wasn't
all
like a
kinds of
great
good
white
stuff.
shark. It was a school of baby tiger sharks.
They were not babies. They were, I think the largest one was 16 feet.
Wow.
So
So you
they
did
were
need to
not
get out of the
little.
water.
Yeah. So we need, yeah. I mean, there was other stuff down there like potato cod. It's a fish. It was the size of a Volkswagen, that type of thing, a Volkswagen Beetle.
I'd be more afraid of that.
There were dozens of those. I saw a bull ray. It was a giant stingray. It was probably 8 feet across. I didn't even know
Wow.
they could get that big. And he was just enormous. And he was down under a rock, and he was just like doing this, just sitting there, just floating like that. I looked at him, and he looked at me, and we were like, "We're good." And that was enough. I saw a bunch of.
He was
cool
saying, "Look at
eels.
that big guy."
Yeah,
That's a big
he was
human
much
in
bigger
the
than I
water.
was. Much bigger than I was. Tastes like chicken. Didn't
You
really
know,
come after
I
me.
just recently saw a sturgeon for the first time. Those are some creepy ass fish.
A long, skinny guy.
Yeah.
He's that. I think that some kid just caught the largest one. He was like 400 pounds or 300 pounds or something.
Yeah, that thing was crazy. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I would die of a heart attack if that came up on me in the water.
I don't. Not big on the deep water.
I love
that
the
doesn't
deep
bother me
water,
so
but
much.
that, ugh. I mean,
Yeah, but you've probably never been to the Gulf of Mexico, like around Louisiana, Mississippi, have you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure I have.
So you can't see in the water.
Yeah, it's the same as up here.
Is it? I thought you
Yeah.
could see through the water
No,
there.
it's dark as hell up here. It's muggy and crappy and no. No, I was not on that boat. But that's 12 miles from me. Less, 8 miles from me.
Wow.
That happened right down the road. And I guess there's tons of the whales coming in real. Oh, you too, buddy. Take it easy.
Bye, Alan.
Bye.
There's tons of whales right inside Plymouth Harbor, and they don't usually come in that close. Usually when you go on a whale watch, you're out at Stellwagen, and that's, I don't know, 15 miles out, 9 miles. I can't remember how far out it is, but it's a good ways. And when you go out there on a whale watch, you see tons of whales, but they're never in Plymouth Harbor like that. That's just weird.
If Morgana and I come to Maine or Massachusetts, you're going to take us whale watching, right?
A whale watch, you can't miss it. Got to go on a whale watch.
Okay.
I've been on maybe 6 of them over the course of my life in Massachusetts, and I've never ever not seen a dozen whales while we were out
I have never
Awesome.
been, and it's on my
Fantastic.
bucket list.
there.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That would be fantastic.
one of the best things. They play with the boats. The boats are allowed to go up maybe 100 meters. I can't remember how close, 200 meters away from them. But if the whale comes to the boat, that's it. They'll shut it down, and the whale will play with the boat, splash water at it, like jump up and come down. They'll breach, but usually they breach further away. That's what Mark was just talking about. There was a breach down in a breach is when the whale comes up and just goes splash. And there was one, and he came up and he landed on a fishing boat. This happened day before yesterday, I think, Saturday maybe. So
I think I saw the footage.
Yeah, I put it on my page.
Probably where I saw it.
Yeah, it's spooky. It's because what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. The boats that you go on the whale watch are enormous. There's these old ferry boats. They're whale watching boats. So the whale, I mean, if it really wanted to, it could probably damage that boat. Don't piss it off. But this, it must have been an accident. The whale was probably playing with the boat, or the whale was like, screw you, get out of my water, and he was like, boom, because the boat's done. The boat's wrecked.
I read Moby Dick.
Yeah. Call me Ishmael.
Like it.
Well, so those are big whales. What about like killer whales? Do you have those? Have you been out on a boat and watched them?
I've not seen an orca down here. I've never seen one in the wild. I saw one at SeaWorld. Does that count? But no, I've never seen one around here. I've heard that they can be around here, but I've never seen one. I've seen humpback whales, minke whales. I was on a working boat, and somebody said they saw a blue whale, but I've never seen one. So I've seen some good stuff. There's North Atlantic right whales up here. They're big, but the humpbacks are just, once you see one, and that's when you go out to the on the whale watch, that's what you're going to see at humpbacks. When the whale goes down and its tail flips up like that before it goes in the water, get a photograph of the tail, because they're like fingerprints, and you can look it up online and get a name for the whale.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
They have them all. They have them all tagged, labeled, named. So he's not with the orcas.
Yeah. So see, it's like, your life is half of my bucket list.
I know. I know.
I have been very fortunate that I joined the company I'm with now in December of 1989. So I'm coming up on 33 years, I think. And I was fortunate enough that when I first started there, we had this. It was a government project. It was called Project Muscle Watch, and what I did as a 21-year-old kid was I drove from northern Maine all the way down the coast of Galveston, Texas, all the way around Florida and up. And I literally either picked mussels off of a rock, or we went out in a boat and dredged for mussels and oysters. And that was my job for 2 years. That's what I did. I just did that thing. We went back by plane twice, 3 times maybe, and the rest of it was just that. And it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, because it was, 8 hours of work a day and then 8 hours of drinking. And it was fantastic.
So you must have started this right out of college.
I went to college to be a pilot. It had nothing to do with chemistry.
So do you know how to fly?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
let me rephrase. I can fly a single engine land, a multi-engine land, a single engine sea. I can fly a non-turboprop rotorcraft. But I haven't flown anything in all.
That's not the
actually
point. The
more
point
than
is
20
that
years.
if the zombie apocalypse happens, you just made it to the top of my list. To be
Yeah,
on
but where are we
my
going to go?
team.
First of all, you have to have a vehicle that's fueled, and second of all, you have to be able to land. So staying on the ground, unless there's a place to go, don't bother. You're not going to save yourself. I mean, you can go do that, but if you can't land, you're dead. You're going to die in the plane.
Okay, well, if we're ever in a, if we're in a plane and the pilot dies and they say, "Can anybody fly a plane?" We need to
We
make
can all
sure
go,
Rich is with us.
So,
Or if we got a lifeline and we can call someone, we can call you.
no, I can land.
Landon thought you were going to say you can fly.
Yeah. No, so about that, I can't fly a jet. I've never flown a jet. You get in there, the basic controls are the same, but that's where it ends. It would be like one of you guys trying to fly a Cessna. It's basic controls are the same, but you just can't do it. So I would definitely need somebody I would go in there and try, sure, but I'd probably kill us all. I need somebody to walk us down.
When my son joined the Air Force, he was a plane pilot. And the one he worked on was the Hurricane Hunters. Well, when he was talking about going into that, my husband's like, "Son," he goes, "You've never been mechanical. Why, Dad?" He goes, "Well, Dad, what's the difference? An engine's an engine. You've got this and this, and, a propeller's the same as a fan." 3 months later, he said, "Okay, son, I'm going to ask you that question again. So is it just like a motor?" Well, I might have maybe misspoke about that.
Well, internal combustion engine is the same, but there's a lot more difference between an aircraft engine and a car engine than you'd think.
Right.
Very, very different.
Yes.
Okay, so my next question is what I ask all of the crop duster pilots that I've met. What's the weirdest thing you've seen when you've been flying?
Weirdest thing I've seen? Well, I flew backwards over Cape Cod. That was fun. We just rode the wind, and we literally flew all the way backwards across Cape Cod, just on the camber of the wings. The weirdest thing? So I was teaching flight school in Colorado, and we pulled up to taxi. And one of the things that you do to screw with the new people is literally everyone, no matter how much ground class they've taken, every single person that gets in the plane for the first time, they're over here, I'm pilot in command. Every one of them tries to steer on the ground with the steering wheel, and it doesn't do anything. And we all laugh at them. We're all like, "Yeah, that's funny because you got to steer with the pedals." And I was laughing at this kid, and a big cloud came in and flipped the plane right on us, right over. Boom. Snapped the wing off. Boom. So that's about the weirdest thing I've seen, really. I didn't see anything crazy. Yeah, it was considered a crash. We hadn't left. And I've been in a plane crash. I don't want that again. But yeah, we never left the ground, and it was considered a crash. They had FAA inspectors came out there, but all the other planes got blown away too. It was we just caught the wind right, and the plane went like this, and it just flipped up, snapped the starboard side wing.
Well, if you have to be in a plane crash, I would prefer it be that one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you. I like me a little more than being dead. So.
Yeah. That would definitely be an interesting take on it.
Yeah,
okay, so why are you afraid of ghosts? There's got to be a story there.
Yeah, there is, but I don't want to get into that now. That's something we'll have to talk about another time.
Over beer.
Yeah, well, that's just everybody's going to call bullshit, and I don't want to hear it. So
You're talking to people who aren't going to call bullshit.
No, I know you guys will. It is what it is. That'll have to be another interview.
Okay, all right. Cool. All right, so Morgana, what questions do you have for Rich?
So, I mean, you've done so much. Do you have a bucket list?
No. I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody's got things they want to do. Mm-hmm. I've never been to South Africa. I wanted to go to South Africa because there's some beautiful stuff down there. But at the time, if you had a South African stamp in your passport, there was a lot of places you couldn't go when I was doing my traveling. I'd very much I'd like to go back to Rome. Rome was beautiful. Greece was just phenomenal. I hit all the islands of Greece while I was over there too, and I'd like to do that again. But things that I haven't done, I don't know. I was fortunate enough to go on a submarine, so that's out.
Well, tell us about that.
Well, I worked with guys that worked for WHOI, the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, and I didn't go in the Alvin, but I went in another submarine, and I didn't go down 7,000 feet. I was only down, I don't know, maybe 100 feet. And then when I was working in Maine, I was doing core samples in Maine. The guy that actually ran that, it was a jacklift boat where what they do is it's a flat, almost like a raft, think of it that way, made out of metal, and they drop these huge pylons down, and it lifts the boat up so that you can drop a grab sampler, which is basically a big claw. It goes like that, and it grabs dirt or sediment from the bottom. And that guy actually had made his own submarine. And you have to have the Navy come in and they x-ray all the welds and all that stuff. And it was 12, 15 years old. And he took me down, couldn't see anything because it was Maine. It was pitch black, but it was fun. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think a bucket list. What do I want to do? I've never been to the Dakotas. I would very much like to see Mount Rushmore.
My uncle Charles is Native American, and mm-hmm. he brought back some photos. He just gets in the car and drives now. Yeah. But he went to Crazy Horse Mountain, and he says that it makes Rushmore look tiny. So if you go, you want to go to the Crazy Horse Mountain.
Yeah, that sounds good too. Just trying to think. An odd one. I'd very, very much like to do some long distance shooting, like a mile. I've never shot anything that far. I'm into guns, in case you didn't know. And,
no, not you.
I'd very much like to do some real long distance shooting, maybe 1,000 meters, 3,000 feet, something like that. A mile, 5,000 feet. I'd like to. I don't know if I'd actually hit anything. I'm decent, but I'm not. I'm no sniper. Yeah. So, but I know that's a whole nother set of rules when you're firing a huge caliber gun that far.
I had a girl tell me, look, it was, and I know she misspoke, but then she argued. So it just didn't go anywhere fast. She was talking about her and her boyfriend going to the shooting range. And she says, oh, I can shoot 1,000 yards and hit dead on with an AR. And I'm like, do you mean 1,000 feet? No.
So
yards. And I'm like,
even 1,000 feet is.
Yeah, I know.
That's tough.
Yes.
So a grand is 1,000 yards. A grand is. They have there's people out there that can really do that. They'll shoot silver dollars and stuff like that.
Yes.
But
this is the second time this girl had ever shot a gun.
I am skeptical, Morgana, of her skills, but the possibility exists.
Yes.
But you also don't really find a lot of ranges for AR-15s at 1,000 yards.
Right. And that was
I guess you can. You know what? You probably can. You probably can. There's nothing like that around here because if you travel 1,000 yards in Massachusetts, you're in somebody's bedroom.
Right.
So you don't get that around here.
Yeah.
We have. Yes. I think there's one it's 200 yards. Mm-hmm. That's right down the street from me. But I never actually fired on their long range. I've only used their pistol stuff.
Yeah, I've got a friend that does what is it? The extended permit, enhanced permit, and she's got a spot set up. She's got 15 acres So
Yeah,
she's got
see,
a
that's
nice
nice.
range set up and everything. So
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
kill for that. I'd kill to be able to walk out in my backyard and just pop off a few rounds.
Yeah.
So Massachusetts is pretty awful for gun lovers, to the point where, and you can look this up, if you have an expended piece of brass in your vehicle or in your hand and you don't have a license, it's a felony.
oh
So
wow.
I don't know if they'd ever press charges on that, but the fact is they likely could, because it's
Tony.
considered. Hi, Tony. It's considered ammunition parts. It's
Right.
just the whole thing is stupid.
Yeah.
We got the woman that's our attorney general. Her name is Maura Healey, and she just made a law. She just like, yeah, no more copycats, and she didn't go through any. She just made it. She's like, yeah, we're gonna make a law, and they made the law, and then that was about copycat firearms for AR-15. So the hammer dropped at that point, and you basically, it was impossible to get an AR-15 anymore for less than like $3,000 or $4,000. They cost like $2,800 to $4,000 here now, and they're like $500 everywhere else in the country.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know. We got a big problem with the firearms laws in Massachusetts and how stupid they are. Magazines. If you have anything larger than a 10-round magazine that was made after September 9th, September 6th, 1993, it's a felony. Day before, it's totally fine. Absolutely fine. It's grandfathered in. What they're trying to do is eliminate those high-capacity magazines. But the thing is, none of them are stamped until, I don't know, 99, 2000. So I can have 10 of them, and you can't prove it.
Right.
There's no way to prove it. All my magazines are legal. I bought them, they're pre-banned stuff, or I got them later than the ban, but they were pre-banned mags. So, because the last thing I want to do is lose my firearms license over a friggin' magazine. That's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you don't adhere to the law, then they can pull your license and you have to get rid of your guns. And that's the last thing I want. So
Yeah.
I follow the law, even though the law is stupid. It's a stupid law.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few of them. But
Yep.
I knew we were going to talk about guns. Go figure.
Because it's about you.
Yeah.
It's all about getting to know you.
That's right. That's exactly right. But I mean, I won't even go into laws or whatever, but here it's open carry.
Yeah.
And
That's beautiful.
it is, and it's not. If I knew that other person wasn't batshit crazy that's walking around,
So you're much likely to be defended by someone with an open carry than shot at by someone. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
So for all of the murders that happen in the United States, and there's going to be 1,000 people who will discredit this, but for all of the murders, you've got 10,000 people that are armed that don't hurt someone. I mean, look at what just happened with this guy that shot that guy from 120 feet away. I mean, that's insane what he did. I mean, the kid was ridiculously trained in order to get 8 hits out of 10 on somebody that was 120 yards away with a pistol through with adrenaline firing, because this guy's shooting. Oh my God, the guy's a hero. And unfortunately for that kid, he's going to get dragged through the mud on one side of things. The other side's going to call him a hero, just like every other person that kills someone that's a bad guy. But unfortunately for him, regardless of which wing he's looking at, he has to understand that he killed someone. So he knows that. So I don't think he's happy about having to shoot that man. But at the same time, at the end of the day, he did a good thing. He saved lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a gun proponent, and I can have arguments with people who aren't gun proponents. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to convince them, and they're not going to convince me. So the argument is pointless.
Well, it's not going to happen here because
No, I know that. I'm not talking about you guys. I have arguments with people.
I'm letting the listeners know we don't argue guns on Wyrd.
That's right. That's it.
I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, there's enough of that elsewhere. We're on here.
No, I know. Well, again, I live in Massachusetts and can't swing a dead cat without hitting somebody that hates guns.
Right. Yep. But no, like I said, didn't want to put you on the spot about the whole bucket list. I figured you had this long list, Rich.
No, no, I don't really. Well, I mean, you guys know that I recently suffered a personal tragedy, and I had plans. I had plans to go places with my wife. That was, cut short. So
yeah.
I had those plans. Like she had gone to Norway with me for one of my friends getting married. It's been a while now. My friend Osman got married, and I wanted to go back there because I love Norway. Norway's fantastic, and she loved it too. We had a great time. We stopped off at Amsterdam for a little while, and then we went over to Norway, and then we came back via Iceland. So it was
cool.
It was great. Yeah. So I used to fly KLM.
Uh-huh.
Because they put me on a 747 and it was great. Half the time there's nobody on the plane. But then I started using Iceland Air for these little puddle jumpers. And we'd go over, land in Reykjavik, and we'd be there for anywhere from 1 hour to like overnight. And it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. You get off the plane, you walk out, and there's this giant friggin' buffet sitting right in front of you and there's nobody eating it. And I'm like, this is me. I'm the belly man. And so I went over there and I ate everything I could. Not the best of plans if you're getting on a plane in 12 hours, but and she was like, "What are you doing? What are you eating?" She tried some of it and she ate it, and it was great. A lot of Icelandic food, which was good.
Cool.
But yeah, Iceland's beautiful as well. Yeah, I wanted to go. Like I said, I wanted to go to Norway. We wanted to go back to Rome. She had never been to Rome or Greece, any of those places over there.
Yeah.
And I guess that could be a bucket list.
Yeah,
That is.
it is. Yeah. That's a friend of mine. His wife is an airline stewardess and has been for 30 years. So he's like, she won't travel with us. He said, because she's been, she's always on a plane. So So he and his daughters use her miles,
Yeah.
So it's like every time I see him, okay, where'd you go this time? Oh, we just got back from Australia, or we just got back from here or there. And I'm like, I hate you. I just absolutely hate you. But he says they have never been on a vacation as a family that involved a plane ride. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah, that's a nice thing to be able to do with your family.
Yeah.
I've never been to Bora Bora. I want to go to Bora Bora. There's my bucket list right there. I want to be in one of those little cabanas out over the water, and I want to look down and see fish in my basement.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a shark movie about that.
Yeah, I do know, actually. Like I said, I'm not afraid of sharks. Sharks don't bother me too much. I'm not going to go and antagonize and pet a shark, but they don't scare me too much. Now watch, that's how I'm going to get down. I'm going to be eaten by a damn shark. That's it. I'm done.
Famous last words. Rich Restucci.
You know what? A ghost shark. Jesus, what's happening to me?
We're going to have our 2024 trip, and Tully and Cecil said they are not going out in the water, and then they're going to watch Rich get eaten by a shark.
Well, now there's no chance of going in the water. Are you kidding? Oh man!
Stay away from the Florida side, and you're usually pretty damn safe.
Like I said, I've lived either on the beach or near the beach for quite a long time. Right now I'm maybe 6 miles from the beach. No, maybe 10 miles. 10 miles from the nearest ocean beach. But I grew up in the next town over, and when I was there, we would go to the beach all the time. And then when I got to be, 17, 18, I actually moved to another smaller town and I had my own house, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I was 100 steps from the sand on the beach.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was fantastic. Oh yeah, the 3rd of July parties at that place. 13 Irving Street, Hummerock, Mass. Fantastic. Yeah. Do a map search on 13 Irving Street, Hummerock, Massachusetts, and you'll see how close we were to the water. It was beautiful.
Look, we don't get in the water down here. If you're in the water, it's because you're visiting and don't know any better.
Exactly.
Alligators?
No, it's disgusting.
Oh, you mean the water quality?
The water itself. Yeah. Well, we've got the barrier islands. Yeah. So until you get back out past the islands, one, you can't see. But you wouldn't want to see either. Because it's just the bacteria and stuff gets real high. And I'm like, who goes in there? Well, you go by and it's full of people, and you're like, yeah, they're visiting. Yeah.
I grew up going to Grand Isle, Louisiana, which is it's probably my favorite place on earth. It is just wonderful. But we grew up going down there and going fishing. But if you went to the beach was covered in tar balls from old rigs. And you would find, what is it? The junky needles kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get that up here too. So about the tar balls, that's kind of what I do for a living. Not all of those tar balls are from oil rigs. There's a lot of natural seepage in the Gulf from wells, untapped wells, closed off wells, that type of thing. So when you see one of the things we did, there was a very large oil spill that was in the Gulf of Mexico, which I can't name. And so we did a lot of work on that. And one of the things we do is called hydrocarbon fingerprinting. And what we do is we get a sample of their well oil, and we compare it to whatever tar ball we have, and we can tell if it came from there or not. And a lot of the tar balls that we got, I'd say probably 40% were not from their well. So there's quite a lot out there.
You might be interested in knowing this, but my cousin, that's one of the things that he did, is he started a company, and they would go back out and buy these oil rigs that had been shut down and reopen them and pump oil from them. He was very successful doing that down here.
Yeah. There's how many oil rigs do you think are in the Gulf of Mexico?
Probably hundreds.
I think there's 1,700. I'm going to Google that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where a lot of the deep sea fishing gets done, the charters and stuff.
Well, that's one reason I don't like deep water, is because when I was little, they would take me out on the boats, and we'd go out to the oil rigs and go fishing, and we would catch sharks and stuff. And now, as I've gotten older and more paranoid, I think, what the hell? They were drinking, they were having a good old time, and there I am, like 8 years old.
1,862. 1,862 platforms.
Yeah.
But so when you say, to most people, when you say you're going out to be on an oil rig and go fishing, they're thinking of this massive, enormous, thing that houses 500 people and drills and gets, a million barrels of oil a day. But a lot of those, when I say 1,862 or 92, whatever the hell it was, in the Gulf, they're 10 feet across. They're these little platforms that sit there, at which you can go out. There are all these rusty things that you sit on and go fishing. Exactly. They're not all these big, enormous platforms that, with ridiculous amounts of technology on them. Sometimes it's just a metal floor.
Well, and like I said, a lot of them were stuff that was built in the 50s or 60s or 70s, and they were abandoned. Weren't producing anymore.
They couldn't drill deep enough into the well. One of the things when I was in Norway we were testing was produced water. And what produced water is, in order to get the oil out of, the cavity that it's in, they have to pump water in there because the oil floats on the water and they can drill it out easier. They don't have to drill as deep because the oil will actually float on the water. So you got a big bubble of oil inside rock, and you drill into it, start drilling out. And what they do is they pump water into it so the oil floats so they don't have to drill down. But I don't know when that was discovered. So there might be a lot of untapped potential down there for a guy like, was it your cousin you said?
Yeah,
to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
he's been very blessed. He got a job with Australian oil company when he was pretty young, and he was very successful at striking oil for them. Yeah. So he did very well for himself, or he's still doing very well for himself. Yeah. But so a lot of my family's in petroleum stuff.
Well, I'm not on the oil side of it. I'm on the chemical testing side of it. But yeah, that's a lot of oil rigs out there.
Yeah, I've always wanted to fly on the helicopter out to the oil rigs over the marshy areas of Louisiana. That's on my bucket list. That's something I want to do.
So I never did that here, but I did do that when I was in Norway. I flew out to the Gullfaks platform, actually. And it was this big, giant, this was one of those enormous things. And I worked in a lab for a little while out there. It was only a couple of days, but it was fun. Man, they have everything that you can possibly think of.
Very cool.
So what else you got?
I don't know. We hadn't even talked about writing.
Yeah.
You always get to go on everybody else's show and talk about writing. So this is all about you. So you've got 3 kids.
I do.
Yeah. And 2
Richie,
of them are
Chloe,
twins.
and Danielle. 2 of them are twins. Chloe and Richie are twins.
And how old?
So Danielle is 27, and Richie and Chloe just turned 20.
Okay. That's what I thought. I knew the twins were like 19, 20, 21-ish.
Yeah, they turned 20 on the 21st of June, so it's very recently.
First day of summer.
Yeah,
Yep. Midsummer
Yeah.
babies.
exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are they going to college?
Not yet. Chloe went to college. Get out of me, bug. Chloe went to college. They graduated in 2020, so she went in 2021, and it was like prison because that was the height of COVID. So she went to college to be a nurse, and what happened was she couldn't leave her room ever, other than to go to get food at the cafeteria, which she then had to bring back to her room. So it was. She said that there's, I mean, they did stuff, of course they did, but if you got caught doing that stuff, gone. They bounced you. So they had to get tested every day. She said it sucked. So she's going to go back at some point, but I don't think she's going to go back for nursing. So she said she didn't like it. So
Well,
my son, no, he's not a college kid. He's going to work.
I was gonna say that defeats the whole college,
Oh, yeah,
experience.
it was awful.
Yeah.
It was literally, it was the height of COVID. It was when
Yeah.
COVID was the worst.
That's
Well,
So,
the
yeah.
world is reshaping, and there's so much you can do now without really
Yeah.
going to get. I mean, you can get college online now. I mean,
Yeah, no, I know.
if you want to, and they've got so many free classes and stuff. A lot of people don't even need to go to college anymore.
Yeah, well, that's on her, whatever she wants to do. I mean, I get to pay for it, so.
We support you, whatever your decisions are.
That's right. That's right. Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, I mean, some kids aren't cut out for it. My son, no, hell no. He wants no part of it. So that's fine. Like I said,
Yeah, that's my son.
Mhm.
Same.
Yep. But he's a productive member of society, so I can't
That's
bitch
good.
at him about it.
That's good. Yeah, my older daughter is a waitress, and she makes ridiculous money. She makes fantastic money.
Yes.
She works at a place called Legal Seafoods,
Uh-huh.
and she does very well.
Yeah.
So,
Best money I ever made was waiting tables.
oh
and
my,
that-
she makes so much money. She kills it.
Yes. I mean, I would not want to do it today because I'm just too damn old.
Yeah,
But,
no, I hear you.
So,
I don't want to get up out of my chair most of the day. I'm too damn
that's
old.
right.
It hurts.
That's exactly it. Lots hurts after you get old.
So what's next writing?
Oh, so I have two series. One is they're set in the same world, but from different perspectives. There's 3 books in each series, and then there's a 4th book that ties the 2 series together. And now I'm writing the 5th book in the theory series. And I'm going to let the run series kind of mingle into that, so that I'll have 1, because writing 2 is a pain in the ass. So, and I can't be nearly as prolific as I used to be because I'm just too busy, especially now that we have one income now, and it's just me. I have to do everything around here. So there's that. So I can't be as prolific as I used to be, but I've got that going. I've got this one's for Logan. I've got a Sasquatch story going that should be interesting. And I've
Awesome.
recently started when we did our World War II movies, war movies. One of the movies was Fury, and I was watching that movie, and I'm like, how cool would it be if we had a vampire stuck in that damn tank and he couldn't get out during the day? So I got that mulling around in my head right now. Nobody better steal that on me. I'm patenting that. Not patent. What's it called with books? Copyright. Yeah. So I got that mulling around. I've got a bunch of anthos out there now. That's all me right there. I don't know if can you see that?
Yeah.
That middle shelf is all me.
Awesome.
So, yeah. It's got a bunch of stuff there. And I'm missing a few as well. But yeah. So that's what I've got going on right now. I wish I could be more prolific, but I just don't have the time.
It's hard to balance it all.
It is. Yeah. Plus work is
Yeah,
it
this
wasn't
is
as busy as it was last week, but it's pretty
well,
busy.
you've
for a
been
while.
working like past this time every night for a while.
Yeah, not necessarily at the same job, but yeah, I have another vocation that I do other things for. But most of it has been for the chemical company. Yeah, I shouldn't say chemical company. It's a research company. So,
Chemical research.
yeah, it's called Battelle, Battelle. So that's my company.
Very cool.
Yeah. So,
Now,
And
see,
then-
now I want to read tanks and vampires.
yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
I'll have the whole book written by tomorrow. Let me
Okay.
start right now.
All right. If you need a reader, Let me know.
You're on the list. Yeah, if you want a beta read, you can always do that too for my other stuff.
Yeah.
I've got about 10 or 12 of those. More the merrier.
Oh yeah, I have to get through next month because this is my busy time of year.
Oh, I'll never be done by next month. I'm writing 500 words a day. I was, for the longest time, I was writing between 3,000 and 6,000 words a day.
Yeah.
You know, it's just fortunate enough that I could do that, and now I just can't. I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know, you think that, you know, it gets better. You know, you can get some of that work life behind you and then, you know, do what you want to do. But it just doesn't seem to work out.
Well, my mother asked me today, I was with my parents for a little bit today, and she asked me, she's like, well, when are you going to retire? And I was like, I'll be 54 on Sunday. So it's going to be, I don't know, 300 years before I can retire if I'm going to actually pay stuff off. And
you had my birthday this week and we're only just hearing this?
Yes, sorry. When my wife passed away, we went down to one salary, so I had to refinance the house. So I needed to cash out and pay off a bunch of bills, which I did. Now, I mean, now I'm wealthy. I'm sitting with some money, but it's already spoken for. I'm just terrified to spend it because I don't know what's going to go with this economy that we have. So I'm holding on to some money when I should pay some other bills that I could pay right off. So when we figure this economy out, then maybe I'll buy my big shed for out back, and I'll put in some grass and that type of thing. The place needs a little work, and I do most of it myself, which is what takes up, like the room you're sitting in now. You can't see what's right here, but there was a flood that came in from right here, and we weren't home, and it was, I don't know, 9 inches deep down here for a while, because I'm in the basement. I've done all that stuff behind me. I've done in the past year. I had to rip everything out and put it back in. So this is all new, what you see. All the Lego is new too. Go figure. I could build Legos like it was my damn job.
Yeah.
I wish I was smart enough to design them.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You've got something that you can consider therapeutic.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, until I drop a piece on the floor
and I throw a damn
temper tantrum. What's that?
Zen and the art of Lego.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a great idea. Ooh, Daddy is writing that down. Zen and the art of Lego. New book title.
Huh? See?
Just remember me when you're rich and famous.
Already rich, it's no big deal.
That's right. You are.
All right.
And don't forget
like
the
that.
retirement plans in Wyoming with our juke joint, our Mississippi juke joint.
Oh yeah, man, that would be nice. I wish that could be more than a pipe dream. I would very much love to go out there. Yeah. Shark Week birthday. Yeah. True story.
I've got a niece in Wyoming.
She does. Let's do it.
Yep.
I have a friend.
I just want to make sure there's not any people. No more people have moved there. That it's still less than 600,000.
I have a friend. His name is James Jackson. He's actually another zombie writer. His series
Shout out
is
to
called,
James Jackson.
Yeah, honestly, he writes some great stuff. I think his stuff is upstairs. I don't think I have it here, but I have all of his books, and his series is called Up from the Depths. And James he and I share similar interests in a lot of ways. And he is constantly sending me stuff about, this missile silo is from. I'm like, damn it, I want to buy that missile silo. But we got to come up with $500,000 for that stupid silo, which I want to buy.
I was finding $250,000 towns we could buy.
Yeah, castles in Turkey.
Yeah.
Actually, there is an old monastery in Italy that's only 2 million. American.
Well, these towns.
I get that.
But hang on,
for over $250,000.
Here's the beautiful thing: the bottom basement sits on a huge sheet of quartz crystal.
Ooh, yeah. It's got all the woo there.
That's right. So that's like my dream home. But since we can't have that, there are these rich people that have this underground silo somewhere out in Wyoming that they've got guards on. We could totally just take over the guards.
No. I found a listing today of abandoned underground bunkers that were for sale. So they've been abandoned. No one's there. We just need to go in and fix them up. This is what I do with my spare time, people.
So about that,
This is what I'm supposed to be writing.
fixing up one of those bunkers, you just can't imagine the associated costs with that, because everything is 10 times more. Everything, all parts of it, the electrical, the plumbing, the waste, all of it is just so much money. And they sell the bunker for $400,000 or $500,000, but then it takes another $8 million to get what you need, and that's just for basic amenities. It's incredibly expensive. So I don't want to break anybody's bubble, especially mine, but I really want one of those silos.
I found that place. There was a little town in Tennessee that looked perfect for a little writer's getaway.
Oh, Tennessee is their lover of bullets. They love the guns. I could live there.
Oh my God.
Is that your dog or my dog?
Those are mine.
Mine's just sitting here wallowing on me.
Well, mine are upset with me because of the puppy being in the house. So, yeah.
Well, Rich, thank you for spending an hour with us.
Oh,
and
my pleasure.
we need to do more of these so people can get to know you.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. We could also do a read if you want to do a read. I could read
Yeah,
something.
that would be fun. Let's do it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Doesn't even have to be my stuff. I could read your stuff.
No, you don't want to.
Let's see who I have behind me. I got W.J. Lundy, Alan Gamboa, J.L. Bourne, Rich Baker, Shane Woods, Ricky Fleet, David Muga, Pixie Britton, Jamie Hernandez, David Simpson, Christopher Artinian, Mark Tufo, Z.A. Recht, Brian Parker. Damn, I got some good stuff back here.
I've never heard of
Jonathan
any of those people.
Mayberry, Bowie Ibarra, Max Brooks. I'm doing all right. The Art of War.
So we're going
Book
to
of
start
Five
story
Rings.
time with Uncle Rich.
Oh, I like that.
Oh,
Snake
no,
bite.
Story time with Snake Bite.
That's right. There you go. That's it. You will forever and always be Snakebite in my heart.
Yep.
I could do that.
We're working on a logo.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I would likely need to get permission from some of these people to read their books, but honestly, who would say no? Really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
It's free
Well,
publicity.
that's going to do it, guys. We're going to sign off for a little bit. I don't know if Morgana's going to want to come back and do my interview tonight or not. We will talk about that when we go dead. But thank you, Rich, for playing with us. We always enjoy story time. But definitely do this again soon. And Thursday night, Shark Week. See you there.
Oh, I'll have no excuses. Well, you never know what's going to happen, but I will not be working Thursday night. So.
All right. So we'll see you. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
And that's going to do it, dudes. Stay weird.
Bye, folks.
Bye.